So last month, Steam had a sale on Star Wars games, for May the 4th. And I saw two games on sale that I've been pretty interested in. One was Republic Commando, which was a game I first tried on Switch and was pretty disappointed. I'm pretty sure that was mostly on the fault of that port more than the game itself. So I thought maybe the PC version would be better, and, well, I was kinda right. But the other game I bought was Forged Unleashed, a hack-and-slash platformer based around Starkiller, Vader's secret, never-before-seen apprentice to... I like picking up and throwing stuff in this game. That may be, unironically, the funnest and funniest Star Wars game mechanic ever. As mentioned before, you play as Starkiller, the most 2000s protagonist I've ever seen. Starkiller holds his lightsaber like Vader's last apprentice, and you can even give him a Clone Wars style costume to really remind Vader of all of his mistakes. Anyway, the game starts off with Dark Daddy here strutting his way through the planet of Kashyyyk, destroying everything in his way, to find a rogue Jedi hiding out there. And this may be one of the best starts to any game. Darth Vader tossing around Wookiees, boulders, his own men like ragdolls, and throwing in a Force Cobber, wherever he can. I think I love this game. This intro is perfect, getting you into the feeling of what you're going to be doing for the rest of the game. I've already said how fun it is to abuse the Force grip to throw stuff, and this intro lets you go hog wild with it, as I've already mentioned. But I wish Vader would pick up the pace a little. I know he wants everyone to check out his sick moves, but I also know he's holding back some of his power, one of them being the ability to dash, which kind of makes it funnier. But stop wasting company time, Vader. Anyway, Vader strolls up to this Jedi's cribs and just starts beating the tar out of him, and then Kamehamehas him into his huge expensive door. And then after fighting the guy's overpowered son, Vader just kills him and then goes to this traumatized child like,
"Yo dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could join it or something."
And that's, kinda, how Starkiller was kidnapped and forced into being Vader's apprentice slave. Anyway, time passes and Vader sends Starkiller and his team to hunt Jedi. Starkiller's team is comprised of Proxy, a souped-up Jedi training droid that serves and wishes to kill Starkiller, and Juno, the most 2000s love interest I've ever seen. After some good old Jedi hunting, Vader ends up betraying Starkiller to save face in front of his master, the Emperor. Palpy's spies apparently have been following Starkiller, and now he knows of Vader's plan to use Starkiller to kill him. Starkiller wakes up in a lab with Vader telling him he didn't actually betray him. Now go start a rebellion or something to get the Emperor's attention or something, even though he should be hiding. Who really cares, honestly? And Starkiller goes and does it, and we found out he's the founder of the rebellion in the main story. Starkiller also picks up this Jedi guy he almost killed before, and though he does help with the rebellion, he never really teaches Starkiller anything, which is the reason Starkiller seeked him out to begin with. So, after gathering his rebels, Vader shows up and betrays Starkiller again and captures his rebellion. And at this point, I'm like, why are you doing this? I mean, I know the plan for Vader was to lie to Starkiller and have him recruit all the Emperor's enemies. But Vader still wants to kill the Emperor. Why not just take Starkiller and go do it? I mean, you and Starkiller both hate the guy and are much stronger than the Emperor. Just go curb stomp him and get it over with. The key to your evil plan is right there. And you just ignore it. Well, you actually do more than ignore it. You borderline try to kill it and pretty much insult it. I know he said, "No, not with you," but is there anyone else in the galaxy who would honestly help you? You don't even know about Luke and Leia being your kids at this point, so I doubt it. Why doesn't he have Starkiller and his rebellion infiltrate the Death Star, and then have Starkiller help kill Palpatine? Then, while his guard's down, kill Starkiller, and then wipe out the rest of the rebels that are conveniently trapped on the most heavily armed space station in the galaxy. There are multiple points in this game where Vader has a really good chance of killing the Emperor with and without Starkiller by his side. But he just doesn't, for no reason, even if the Emperor knows that Vader and Starkiller are coming. What's he gonna do to stop them? Honestly, nothing. There's really nothing he can do. Anyway, I guess Starkiller is a Jedi now and he goes off to save his rebels on the Death Star. After single-handedly cutting through the station's forces, he beats Vader and now has a choice of rushing the Emperor to save his friends, or finishing off Vader. This decision is what leads you to the good or bad ending, which on my first playthrough, I didn't even realize it was a choice. I just thought the camera got all wonky for a minute, but we'll get to that. First, I want to talk about Starkiller. Now, the characters in this game are fine and all. I joked about Starkiller and Juno being pretty basic 2000s characters, but I do like both of them and I think they are pretty cool. I would have said Proxy is the basic 2000s best friend comic relief or whatever, but the whole wanting to kill his master thing is actually pretty unique. Coda, the Jedi we pick up, is okay, but I don't know why being blind makes him not a Jedi. I think he could have found a way around that. And I guess he does in the end, and before you say it, I've barely watched Rebels for myself, so I don't think I can make any meaningful comparisons in the canon. The returning Star Wars casts all seem to be in character, and the new additions are pretty cool. But back to Starkiller, I don't buy his turn to the light, or more accurately, his flip of Sith to Jedi. Him moving more towards becoming a better person, I buy that, and it leads to some cool stuff like his comment on how Brood will never be free, as he too has felt that pain. But him going full Jedi? No, I don't buy it. I would have liked it if he's more of a gray Jedi, I guess, not really fully sure on the terminology. You know, less of an Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon, more, ironically, an Ahsoka, in some sense. Again, I'm not too sure on the whole gray Jedi terminology. After all the bad and good he's been through, him using both sides of the Force just makes more sense to me. Him just being in a gray area, that just makes more sense than him being a Sith or Jedi. Of course, this does lead us to the endings. First off, for the good and canon ending, Starkiller faces off against the Emperor and defeats him fairly easily. But before he can finish him off, Coda steps in and tells him not to strike him down at anchor and that they should just leave.
I'll be right behind you.
And look, I get it, I understand it, but there is no way you guys are just going to let the most evil person in the galaxy go for some moral high ground. We, just like Vader before us, have a perfect opportunity to end our problems right here, right now. If not kill him, then at least arrest or capture him. What is wrong with you? Or how about you kill him? Or if you're afraid he'll wake up and use his full unlimited power on us, call Skyfarter over here because he's just been sitting there quietly waiting for us to do the job. And all three of us take him. All of the Emperor's enemies are surrounding him as he's face down on the floor. And no one is doing anything! Just let Starkiller be a gray Jedi or whatever and end this fool. This is all stupid. And Palpatine agrees as he starts letting loose lightning. Starkiller fights him to give everyone time to escape, and Vader takes his sweet time getting over there. And the force battle between Palpatine and Starkiller explodes, and Starkiller is dead. But Palpatine is fine. He's like the weakest boss in the game. Why didn't he die? Anyway, the rebels mourn killed dude, and Vader is going rebel hunting. This ending sucks. In the bad ending, Murder Man kills Vader instead of saving his friends. Palps comes over and is like, "You're my new apprentice." And Murder's like, "Psych," and attacks, but Palpy lightnings him away and then kills the rebels and turns Starkiller into a weaker murder bot. This is even worse. My guess as to why these characters never try the obvious solutions, or at least never tease the ideas with a little, "Join me. No, you'll just betray me again." Yeah, I guess that's reasonable. Is because they want to make this game canon to the original movies. Well, at least the good ending. I don't know. With Sunslayer going all Tartakovsky on the Stardestoyer, I just kind of get the feeling this would have been a much better as a Elseworld or alternate version of events kind of story. Was 2003 Clone Wars even canon when this game came out? I mean, the Clone Wars movie was out, I'm pretty sure. That canon stuff can be too limiting sometimes. Sometimes you just want to make a crazy fanfic about Darth Vader's secret apprentice Starkiller, who is so strong he can pull ships out of the sky with the Force. That was probably the only thing Coda taught him. How did the Jedi ever lose? The story itself isn't bad, I'm not saying that. But it's clearly holding itself back to make itself canon. Instead of exploring how Darth Vader having an apprentice, especially one who seems to understand that his master is in great pain, could lead to an interesting alternate story. Besides, it ended up not being canon anyway, so okay try, I guess. This story was craving to be more, but it doesn't really get the chance, I feel, which is sad to see. Gameplay is more likely what you're here for instead of story when it comes to this kind of title. And it definitely makes up for its fine story with really fun hack and slash gameplay. Your main weapon sadly isn't the ability to just throw boulders at people, but I've always wondered why Jedi even go for the saber when this is so effective and safe. But I'm not some space guardian wizard samurai, so I'll just assume there's some Wikipedia article on the subject. Anyway, the main form of attacking is the lightsaber, and using it alongside your other more fun force abilities is honestly a great time. I like to think this game is more of what people think the Jedi can do, and a game like Fallen Order is more what they actually can do. No smoke to the Fallen Order, that game is incredible. I go on talking about gameplay from here, but it's a hack and slash where you boulder people and use other self-explanatory force powers. If it looks like it would be fun to you, it probably is. Moving on, Starkiller can also use the combo spears he gains from level ups and Jedi Holocrons to up his stats, strengthen his force abilities, and get some new combos. Oh, and throughout the game you can find two different types of Holocrons. Jedi Holocrons, which give you force points, combo spears, lightsaber crystals, that can give different buffs or can change the color of the saber, and two costumes, though one can be unlocked through cheats. Sith Holocrons are just your basic power-ups that I'm pretty sure can't stack. The boss fights in this game are pretty good, but I don't think too many of them are amazing. Most of them pull the, hey, we are invincible now kind of junk where they just block you a lot, or just most of what you throw at them, which I don't really like in fights where both characters are supposed to be on equal footing power-wise. I found this guy pretty annoying for a number of reasons, and the fight with Brood's Rancor is so slow and boring. That being said, nothing gets as bad as the Proxy fight in his stupid Darth Maul transformation that can easily combo your health bar in two, and Darth Vader's second round where he decides jumping is not allowed. I did have to look up guides for these two and for some other stuff throughout the game, and I've left most of those guides that I used, or at least the ones I remember that I've used, down below in the description. Cheats, collectibles, help, all that kind of stuff. Just look down below if you need it. But basically, to beat Darth Maul Proxy, just repulse and throw stuff at him and keep up close assaults as a last resort. For Darth Vader, lock onto him and don't jump, and try to open him up with force attacks. Again, guides below if you feel like you need some more help. And while we are here with Proxy being this powerful, why didn't we A, have him do more stuff for us, B, have him tag along as a bodyguard, or C, have him as an option for multiplayer? I know most of those can be answered with the whole trying to kill you thing, and that does make sense. But the option for multiplayer could have been really fun, or maybe a mechanic for if you use Proxy as a bodyguard, he might accidentally throw attacks your way or even try to fight you. I don't know, could have been neat. Not really an issue that brings the game down for me, I just kind of thought about this stuff. Oh yeah, and Vader absolutely could curb stomp the Emperor. The easiest fight versus the hardest fight, come on! The game also has QTE sections, and I don't find them too bad, but they are here if you dislike that sort of thing. The worst thing is the Stardestoyer. I did look up a guide to this. You can't do it all in one go, basically. You have to fight the TIE fighters, and then get right back to pulling it down. This is one of the game's most famous parts, and it's sad to say it's pretty bad. Yeah, by the way, that guide is down in the description. Anyway, music is pulled straight from the movies, like most Star Wars games. Can't really blame them there. The music in the movies are incredible. But there might be an original track here. I'm not a Star Wars music master, so forgive me for not knowing just by hearing them. I mentioned cheats before, which obviously means this game has a cheat system that can unlock some of the costumes and can be used to give you the usual cheating kind of stuff, but those don't save unlike the costumes, and you can't save while they're activated. Luckily, all cheat codes can be found online, so it's all still available, which is all really cool. Speaking of costumes, we actually have a really cool selection with some major characters missing. Where's Han Solo? Darth Vader? Ahsoka? Come on, guys. You have a data bank that gives you more info on things you've seen throughout the game, and a training room to help you master your abilities, which I think may have a glitch in at least one of the rooms. I beat the room, but still, and speaking of glitches, the PC version which I played has horrible glitches. Nothing game-breaking, but when the music just doesn't start when loading up the final two levels, I had to ask what happened here. I know this was the time of crappy PC ports, so maybe this game got off easy, but though more than a decade after release and there's still no update to fix this kind of stuff from an official source is really sad to see. You can get fan patches, but I haven't really tried them myself because I'm just talking about the game you're paying for. Luckily, the game is so cheap nowadays, and the version I bought on sale for $5 was the Sith Ultimate Edition with all DLC costumes and levels. Though Darth Maul probably should have been in the game itself, and with the DLCs, characters like Darth Vader still aren't costumes, so what's with that? The DLC levels are fairly interesting. 2 of them even give you all the upgrades and lightsaber crystals when you play them, and are set in the bad ending canon where Starkiller is put into the world of the original trilogy. 1 is him on Hoth, where he fights Luke and even turns him to the dark side as Starkiller's new apprentice, and deals with the Yetis that have the Maul combo. And the other has him look for C-3PO and R2-D2 on Tatooine, having to go through Jabba's palace and all that stuff. Then the third one actually takes place sometime in the main game, where Starkiller goes to the Jedi Temple to...
The only place that I can find out more about my father.
Yeah, that. And he ends up fighting a dark version of himself and talking to his dad. Still don't really buy the light side turn, and oh, an army of proxies. Ah! It's not that bad, just destroy the statues they spawn from. From what I've heard, the 360 and PS3 versions should be a better, less glitchy version of the PC ports, so maybe you're better off looking there. Of course, this game, even with the glitches, was a really fun time, and I'd say it's definitely worth your time. This game may also have some of the funniest moments in video games. You evaporate Obi-Wan's ghost, like, come on. But speaking of other versions, while researching this game and looking at discussions online and talking with a friend, I heard about the Wii version and how good it was. With some online calling it definitive, if I remember right. Now, I'm somebody who's really interested in the Wii and DS, so of course I had to try it, and the verdict? Well, definitive isn't the word I'd use, but it's not worse. It's a bit complicated, really. You see, this version adds new characters, new cutscenes, new levels, new costumes, though it is nice to see some characters that should have been in the HD version. Though some of those costumes are missing, and you can't view cutscenes with costumes that aren't Starkiller. Plus, still no Ahsoka. But we got Tartakovsky's Ventress, and that's cool. And isn't that Luke's daughter? We are reaching levels of not canon, not thought possible. Anyway, we got different cheat codes that function as before, but they are also the only way to get costumes of other characters that are not Starkiller, which is kinda odd. And oh yeah, a multiplayer fighting game! Well, a multiplayer only fighting game that I didn't get to play because I don't have a second nunchuck. Why is most of the roster Starkiller? I know you made a ton of models for other characters for costumes, why not use more of them? Oh, whatever. Essentially what I'm saying is, this version has a lot of stuff that's not in the original, for better and worse. How about we start with gameplay? Obviously it's not the same, you use a Wiimote nunchuck combo and motion controls for attacking, force moves, and force abilities. For the most part, this isn't too bad. There are limitations, however. You can't control the height of the objects you force grip. But everything else is pretty much accounted for, and with the added ability of picking up turrets and having them shoot for you. Which is really cool, and I remember wondering why I couldn't do that in the HD version, so to see it here is, well, it's really cool. We also have new, more powerful versions of some of the base force abilities. That's pretty neat, I guess. The levels are, well, complicated. They're pretty much completely different. Not worse, just different. Other than the actual level design, the visuals are what's clearly different. And I don't just mean graphically. Some of the areas just don't have any visual similarities to the HD versions, and some of it looks more interesting, to be honest. 2 of these that really stand out are the return trip to Kashyyyk and the first trip to Cloud City. Yes, I said first, we'll get to that. Actually, this is not Cloud City, it's a completely different planet. I just thought it was Cloud City because it's the same place where you get Coda. Just adding that in while I'm going through the final edits. These 2 versions are much more interesting and nice to look at compared to the HD versions. Even adding details such as the Wookiees rebelling while we are going to save Leia. And yes, this version's intro doesn't spoil parts of the story like Leia's introduction. So that's a nice change. But some changes aren't the best. The second trip to Felucia is a major downgrade compared to the HD version. There's nothing to do with the Sarlacc, and you still fight Brood and her Bull Rancor, but they split up the fights and give her a second, weaker Rancor while we're using an arena we already fought 2 Rancors in? The fight against the bull, this still sucks by the way. And I know the Wii has limitations and such, but when you look at how much was added, it's kind of like, why add more when you can spend more time perfecting what you already got? You know what I mean? And why did we have to go to the Jedi Temple 3 times? And who are these two? How many Force users does Vader keep around? And why would Vader want Starkiller to go to a place that the Emperor keeps heavily staffed and guarded? No wonder his spies followed Starkiller in this version. Why would you send him here? When Starkiller goes on his own to find out more about something, I get that. But this is the last place Vader would want him to be. By the way, if we're going to have us return to the Jedi Temple 3 times, why not just cut the junk level? You know, the one that's supposed to be like a makeshift Jedi Temple? It kind of ruins a lot of this guy's gimmick, and you even change his arena to not even resemble the temple so that you can use that area of the temple for your temple. In the HD version, the temple was comprised of all news areas, so it kind of worked. Here, not really. Why not cut this level or change this guy to one of your original characters? And then we have the return trip to Cloud City. We go here and we find a senator to join the Rebels' cause. It's a good level, and it actually looks like Cloud City compared to the other two. Again, this isn't Cloud City, but it does look really cool, and I'm glad they added this level in. We get to see Lobot, and that's cool, but the bosses are kind of the worst. And I appreciate giving us a new level to meet one of the rebels we didn't get to meet in the HD version. But why not give Mon Mothma a level as well? Mon Mothma is one of those characters I keep seeing everywhere in Star Wars, but I have no clue about who she is other than like she's like a high-ranking rebel or something. Would have been cool to see more of her instead of all these new characters that are pretty much just filler. Yeah, this version has a problem with that. You just meet some guys and they're just there and you beat them and move on. They don't do anything. I guess they wanted to fill out costumes with original characters. I don't know. You may have also noticed some of the enemies are quite different as well. By the way, having a Clone Wars and Empire kind of hybrid in the first level is really cool. It helps me feel like it's more like the beginning of the Empire's reign. And as a Clone Wars fan, I do enjoy seeing more Republic stuff throughout the game. That's really cool. There is a noticeable amount more mini-bosses in this version. A tad too many mini-bosses in this version. And of course, there's some changes to the bosses that can make them, well, a bit better, a bit worse, or around the same. Here's a few examples. The Imperial that held Leia capture was, you know, he got a much better boss fight, but he lost all of his character. Or the fight against the Spider Jedi, whose fight's a bit better. But as mentioned before, the arena doesn't even resemble the temple anymore. The Shaak Ti fight is about the same. I like the area, but I miss the Sarlacc trying to crush you, and the acid bubbles are gone. Those were really fun to mess around with. Kinto's fight's a lot better because his dialogue fits more between his in-game self and the cutscenes. That's neat. The added cutscenes are a bit of a mixed bag, but some do add to the story in a good way, and the characters getting to interact more is great. Though some of the lines sound like the first take of what was being said in the HD version, I don't know, maybe there was a mix-up in the files. And although I do like the added scenes between Starkiller and Juno, and Starkiller and his father, he even gets to battle his father's ghost, both of these try to add to the whole Starkiller becoming a Jedi thing. But some of the other new cutscenes show him being way more brutal, so I still don't buy his turn to being a Jedi. This version also gets a bit, well, I'd say difficult, but it's more annoying. In Raxus and the Death Star, for instance, these two levels just can't catch a break. The enemies get way more health and are relentless and do so much damage. Now the HD version has a similar issue with rocket turrets. But these are just the base enemies doing all this. I started running from fights because I just didn't want to deal with them anymore. And making it worse is how much of a downgrade those levels are to the originals. You don't even fight Proxy in this version, and the Stardestoyer is gone. I had a problem with those two things, but I want them fixed, not deleted. And then we have the two final bosses and endings. Well, that's what I would say, but I only thought Palpatine got the good ending. You see, I made an extra save in the second save slot just so I could like load that then go get the bad ending. But the game saved over it with New Game Plus because it does like share that save in the original playthroughs, so. And there's no level select, and I didn't feel like playing through the whole game again to see the bad ending. From what I can tell from YouTube and my light side ending, both are the same crappy endings in the HD version, although Palpatine's fight's a bit harder now and he uses a lightsaber. Yeah, don't know if Vader's fight is still tough, or if he's tougher or whatever, but whether he is or not, it isn't really going to be that big of a factor in my opinion of this version. Speaking of which, you probably think I dislike this version. Which, I don't. I just don't think it's definitive, you know? This version just feels bloated in a lot of ways that it didn't have to be. They added more levels, new costumes, and added a fighting game. It feels like they are compensating for the fact that this game isn't HD. Also, if you have enough time and resources to develop a fighting game, maybe you should have polished the main game more. Those QTEs would just not work sometimes, even if you hold the controller the right way. It feels like they felt bad that this wasn't the HD version, so they added a bunch of stuff to make it more. And that kinda works, but maybe you should have just expanded on what's already there level-wise with maybe a new level or two, instead of making us go to the temple 3 separate times. And who in the galaxy is Cleef? But as I was saying, I don't dislike this version. In fact, I think this and the HD version are on par. And it comes down to preference, and mine is definitely the PC port, glitches and all, though the Wii did have a couple hiccups. Oh, while we were on ports, let me explain to you the different versions, so you can get a better idea for yourself which version you might want if you want to get this game. PC, Xbox 360, and PS3 are all the same, and they're the only ones with DLC. Though, as mentioned before, Xbox 360 and PS3 are probably the more stable, less glitchy versions compared to the PC version. The Wii and PS2 versions are the same, except the Wii uses motion, obviously, and the PS2 doesn't. They also got rid of Juno's jacket for some reason. The PSP version is the same as the Wii and PS2, but has even more content than any other version, and is claimed to be the version with the most content, having a historical mission and an Order 66 mode, so that's a thing. The N-gage apparently got a port. Is that a phone? And then we have the DS version, which probably has a lot of differences compared to the other versions. I'm actually kind of interested in this one, because like I said before, the Wii and DS really interest me. But I'm kind of forced to Unleashed out at the moment, so I'll leave with this. Playing Forced Unleashed on the PC was an absolute blast, and the Wii version wasn't bad either. Like I said, it comes down to preference which version you would like better. So, out of the versions I've played, I can definitely say Forced Unleashed is great and I recommend it. If this game has piqued your interest, I'd say give it a try, it's pretty cheap nowadays. Hold on. The N-gage is a smartphone combining features of a mobile phone and a handheld gaming system developed by Nokia. N-gage attempted to lure gamers away from the Game Boy Advance by including telephone functionality. This was unsuccessful, partly because the buttons designed for the telephone were not well suited for gaming. The original N-gage was described as resembling a taco, which led to its mocking nickname, Taco Phone. Huh.
My lords!
Hey, look, it's my foot!
Your comlink, sir. Where is it? Sir, you are the leak.
What?
You pocket-dialed Galaxy Rumors and sent them a photo of your Death Star drawing.
What? Hold on, why do you have Galaxy Rumors on your speed dial?
I totally saw the Emperor dancing the night away with 3 Twi'lek models. Let's just unlock. Right? Unlock everything. Look, we're no longer the headline. Thank you, 24-hour news cycle.
Today on Galaxy Rumors, Leia attacks paparazzi. But first, shocking video of a man trapped in a meditation chamber for 41 hours.
How long have you had a camera in there?